So let's start things off with some complete transparency. I'm not a shonen kind of guy. Anime for me is best in its dark or philosophical moments, hence my constant references to Tokyo Ghoul and Psycho Pass. I swear I watch other things, I just really love them. So when I take notes on a shonen or shonen-like, I end up with a lot of the same negative things written down, and then I don't make a video because it would always be the same thing. So why is some moody fuck like me talking about the hot shonen right now? Well, it's kind of really fucking good. For me, it started super strong about the first 5 episodes, and then fell off a bit for about 10 episodes, but after that, it struck gold. I was, and probably still will, make a video on why Tanjiro is a perfectly developed protagonist, but Rui and his family stole the show. I can genuinely say that the villain Rui made Demon Slayer for me. Every other villain was decent. Their backstory could be a bit rushed and forced, but that's usually down to time, and not everything can be Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood with 60 plus episodes. But they were all unique in fighting style, design, and personality, and they each had a few quirks to make them memorable. But Rui, over 5.5 episodes, had an amazing profile, full of depth, connection, and a mix of pure what a piece of shit and fuck, I'm sorry kid feelings. In my notes, I seriously wrote what a piece of shit a few times. But then they offer some sort of redemption, relatable in its theory and demented in its execution, that feeds even deeper into the true asshole behind the scenes. Now, did I just say that a mentally destroyed killer is the best character in a show? Yes, 100%. Tanjiro is great, and I'm a sucker for Inosuke, but for me, Rui is a clear choice for that 100% USDA certified best character. Why? Well, because I love villains. Let's look into why, starting with his intro. Now, Tanjiro and Best Boy ascend Nataguma Mountain, and they find a warm, happy welcome party where everyone is okay and they eat cake and have a tea party. Just kidding, there's a shit ton of demon slayers who are either dead, dying, being controlled by spider weebs. Spider weebs. Oh, fuck. Who are either dead, dying, or being controlled by spider webs, and used to fight each other, who are panicking about how this situation needs the strongest demon slayers in existence, they're all gonna die. So it's a good start. And naturally there's a demon behind all these webs, acting as a marionette from afar, playing with her entangled victims. In a minor diversion, a demon child appears, nearly floating, to offer a few words of advice. Don't disturb my family's peaceful life. And then that little demon goes to confront the one behind the strings, and she becomes immediately serious and afraid for her life, after being mostly casual and seeming to enjoy herself. So it's a very big change there, and someone that strong is terrified of this kid. Someone strong enough they want to and do call on the Hashira the strongest demon slayers there are. That someone is scared to death of this child. Not just his threats, but his simple presence. So yeah, there's our real intro to Rui. But no need to rush ahead, let's stay on his mom for a second. Our first glimpses of the mountain and her bring us back to the desolate and less hopeful tones of the early episodes, but still keep that whimsical undertone. Her stark white looks, the way she moves and tangles the threads and the light shimmering off them, there's a beauty amidst the destruction happening. This is someone who used to be human, now having fun controlling someone's body to use them to kill their friends. But when Tanjiro comes face to face with a girl, sword planted in her throat and dragging a bloody body by the hair, that's a moment you remember, and that's when it gets real. Now this is where we reach a crucial moment. They either find a way to save these slayers, most of whom are physically destroyed, or put them out of their misery and move on with the mission. Sure, the easiest solution is save them before moving on, but how many others die while you try to save these few who are all broken in inhumane ways to the point of asking to die? You physically hear and see their limbs being broken as they're used to fight. Now they do shonen or third option their way out of making a tough decision, but it is a little bit covered by the fact that the decision didn't matter in the first place. She's able to kill them all at any moment, and this is the first time we see Tanjiro really fail, even with a good idea. This isn't about how good he is, his determination or power. There's no epic moment, just inevitable death. And why did she make the shift to kill them? Well, Rui showed up and forced her hand. This didn't get touched on too much after the fact, but it's safe to say enough was going on, it would have been a little weird and hard to circle back. Moving on, we're going to ignore the side stories for now, because the repercussions don't really have a lasting effect, but they do each add another layer of this kid was behind someone that strong. Also, fuck them for making me like Zenitsu. He has like 2 redeeming traits, but they're done so fucking well in his fight. Anyway, back to Rui, the stoic piece of shit tragedy child. At his base, he presents the most forceful and direct challenge to everything Tanjiro. And none of this is ever really directly called out. We have 2 kids, both desperately clinging to their families, but with completely reversed ideals. Now, Tanjiro is an anime protagonist, so naturally, he's going to be more pure, with some unwavering bond between him and the last person left alive from his entire family. It's about protection and unconditional love. And he comes face to face with Rui abusing his sister. This really seems to go against his earliest statement telling them not to disturb his family's peaceful life, but it kind of seems like he's doing a good job of that himself. It really starts to prevent him as this very ideally confused character. But Tanjiro and Ryu end up fighting, and Nezuko wakes up to almost die taking a blow for her brother, and we get the first real hint of any excitement or feel from everyone's favorite conceptually confused psychopath child with an offer that he'll let Tanjiro live if he gives up his sister to become Rui's sister. This is one of the ending stages of a natural ramp-up of his POS factor. He threatens his mother, and then cuts his sister, and then wants to take someone else's sister to replace the one he abuses, while trying to kill her brother with her strung up and half dead. It's this slow creeping feeling of hatred that sets him apart from the other Demon Slayer or even regular action anime villains. It starts below the usual, sometimes ridiculous levels of villainy that anime leads off with, raises to that level naturally, and then passes it. This is the most I've naturally come to hate a character just through their actions, not some boasting about how they're gonna rule the world or anything stupid. This is just a kid doing some fucked up shit, and it naturally makes you hate him, and that's good. That's what you need. And this whole time, that's all he is. He's just some asshole abusing his family until we see his sister. It transformed the situation from a well done yet somewhat shallow monster to an undead tragedy. We know he doesn't want his family disturbed, yet his actions don't match his words. It feels like some surface level deal of protection or maybe a hunting party of sorts, but they're out on a mountain alone, away from their katana wielding predators and the humans they need to feast on. Because it's only about one thing, a demented idea of family. A group of demons that sits around in a dark, ruined house with broken plates and bowls playing family. It's unhealthy, but it's not all abuse and suffering. When it's not, there's a desperate and haunting production where they play a child's vision of family. Their motivation? A deep fear of Rui, but it's originated in survival. And these were people who were chased to dead ends and desperate means by the Demon Slayer Corps, and they accepted his sham family life to keep existing. He took advantage of them, but offered protection and in some way, a sense of humanity that they lost. It's a chance to live in the shadow of the human life they no longer have. But then those who leave him, defy him, or reject the appearance he forcibly and painfully bestows upon them are punished or even killed and lured out by other members of the family. His view is nothing short of psychotic. The substance doesn't matter. What matters is bond in any corrupted form possible. But this is what he knew. After becoming a demon to finally have a healthy body, his parents rejected the murderer he became and tried to kill him. Maybe not the most reasonable solution, but there really is no reasonable answer. In a blunt and jerk reaction, he kills them, and guided by Kibutsuji's words, ignored his true feelings for those new ideals. He admits on his deathbed he knew that it was wrong, and that they loved him and were committed to ending their own lives as well. But here was a choice: face the truth and delve into insanity of what he'd just done, or buy into the words of an abuser and put up the farce. Now for him, family isn't about love, but basic connection based on what he's heard from this new abuser, based on what he's had to build in his own mind to starve off this insanity. And the easiest way to build that connection is fear. His parents thought to kill him for doing something they disliked, so he mimics that concept. Now, bonds can be formed in any number of ways, even though they're generally thought of positively, but they can certainly be negative. That coworker who never does their fucking job, you have a bond through obligation. that teacher who convinced you to go for a certain degree, a bond of trust and mentorship, and sometimes they kind of fucked up your life a little bit, but that's more personal. And that coworker that seriously never does their fucking job, just get a mop, Sharon. Even a child abusing his fake family, it's a bond of pain, suffering, survival, and fear. I mean, the duality of his character and situation is insane, and his family is the single best humanizing factor of demons in this entire show. Because at the end of the day, we're not great either. Humans are capable of the same kind of fucked up things that demons are. It's humanizing in almost every way. And this is what makes me truly feel what Tanjiro must when he kills a demon, but respects their story and humanity when he stays by their side as they're dying. And says he knows they used to be human, but they can't be forgiven. I mean, they were all once human just like him, and just like his sister. This is why he takes the time to master a technique that kills without pain, and why he adapts to use it so quickly. Essentially, he's everything I wanted from Kaneki, the true bridge between two completely different worlds, and I could speak a lot more on how this is similar to the kind of good aspect of Tokyo Ghoul. But Rui is the largest factor in this. Clearly he's past redemption and deserved his fate, but I can't say I don't understand him at all. I mean, no one has the perfect TV family. I had my real and second dads both leave, and a mom who resorts to stalker tendencies to try and control what little bit she has over her kids. I mean, I would love to pick a new family, and some days it does feel like anyone could be better. But he's led to believe his family betrayed him, and to maintain what little sanity he has left after this starts to form these shallow, destructive bonds. Then along comes this brother and sister duo who would die for each other out of some pure and ideal love. And it must look great on the surface, like it does in real life. That other kid with a better house, or parents who are actually around, and everything you don't have. They must have it perfect and easy, but 9 times out of 10, they don't. We all have our own issues or our own skeletons in the closet, and does Tanjiro have the most pure and strong family bond ever? Hell yeah, but with 1/6 of his family left to bond with, and he's forced to become a warrior throwing himself in death's face to try and make his sibling human again. Fucking Edward Elric. Tanjiro Kamado. The grass is always greener when you go to your neighbor's lawn and fucking spray paint it green. Every action of this arc feels connected, the way Rui's backstory feeds into the source of Tanjiro's power, the way it strengthens exactly what Tanjiro is fighting for and shows us this complete antithesis. I mean, he's facing against the facet of false and forced bond, and in his strongest display yet, it's based in his family ties where he uses his father's technique. Normally, this is the kind of random ass power-up that would bother me, but it's very reasonable he would pull on his family for strength at that moment. He's against a tyrannical family captor, and if he fails, Nezuko doesn't just die. She gets resolved to the kind of abuse and fear he just witnessed this demon force on his family. The kind of family that makes you welcome death with open arms and a smile. Sometimes there are devices stronger than death. Like when someone comes face to face with insane torture or the potential of it thrown upon their family, all while having the ideals that forged their journey thrown back at them as false or in a mangled, corrupt state. And yes, I'm talking about Tokyo Ghoul again, I'm still in love and bitter. This doesn't change Tanjiro, but I will never doubt his drive or reason again. This is why Rui is so fucking good for this show and for Tanjiro. It's a slow and delicate winding that mixes hatred and sympathy through a demented and selfish, childlike ideal of family that keeps shifting form right in our faces. The fear turns to hate, to questioning some mix of despise and sympathy, as there's a hint of relatability to motive, and we finally reach the same conclusion Tanjiro has been all this time. A respect for their humanity and the pure desire behind their damnable actions as they face judgment. This is genuinely the complex mix I felt when Rui's story ended. He seriously goes through this weird transcendence from some fucked up, pure abuser to a half relatable story of weird, messed up family values. It's all these scenes stick with me. Just looking at this, he's a piece of shit, but the way he plays family in this dark house with all these broken plates, and they just sit there quietly. And they like to touch on how demons never grew up, and it's a plot point a few times. And this is where we see that happening. This is something they apparently don't get to do a lot. They we have a scene of his sister, or his two sisters, just hanging out and chatting, and sure, they're talking about some fucked up shit, but they get to be human again in a little sense. They're living under this complete regime of fear, but they get something out of it, even if it's taking more than it gives. It's not flat, it's not one-dimensional, it has so much going on, and it is seriously the reason why I love this show. This is what we need more of. Character development can be deeper than just my friends need me, and villains don't have to be one-dimensional caricatures of revenge or power. I find myself thinking this moment wasn't deserved in a lot of scenes, but not here. Tanjiro is good because of himself, but great because of the raw emotional pull of Rui. Well, fuck, let's say something none of my exes can. That was a long one. Yes, I do tend to play devil's advocate in videos, but I genuinely love Rui's character and hope I was able to make a good case for him here. If you want some more villain analyzation goodness, I've got some similar videos on V-Roll from Girl on the Gone and the Sybil system from Psychopaths, and I'm sure I'll make some more in the future if you want to stick around with a quick subscription. Hey! YouTube stuff you have to do at the end of videos. If you want to share this with some fellow weebs, I can feel successful in life and never use my degree. Anyway, half joking aside, any boosting would be greatly appreciated. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.